but they do it, they schedule, yeah.
Good evening, everyone. I hereby announce that pursuant to Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in the notice which was sent to the Asbury Park Press, the Two River Times, and posted on the bulletin board in Township Hall, and filed in the Township Clerk's office on January 5th, 2022. Mayor Bontempo is not here this evening. Mr. Impreveduto?
Here.
Mr. Lucarelli?
Here.
As the public is aware and the committee members are aware, Committeeman and Deputy Mayor Prakash Santana resigned the committee on September 16th, 2022. And earlier this year, Kathy Weber resigned from the committee, leaving the committee with 3 members. Under state law, NJSA 40A:63-3G, a majority of the committee constitutes a quorum, and the case law interpreting that says that the majority is calculated based upon the remaining membership after vacancies. As a result, with 3 members, 2 members of the committee are able to quorum, and I would note that that state law is supersedes the municipal ordinance if there's any ambiguity in that. So my advice is that there is a quorum present this evening.
Thank you, Counselor. Thank you. All right. Well, yeah. There's some. This is we weren't aware of the mayor not coming here. So I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session for 10 minutes to talk to council about how to proceed.
Sure. So I think this is an executive session for legal advice on the vacancy and quorum issue.
Yes, I will second that motion.
Okay. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So the committee will enter into executive session. I believe we'll head upstairs if that's okay. So,
It'll be quick.
yeah.
15 minutes just to get ourselves.
The live stream will remain on the internet, and the committee will be returning to this meeting after the executive session is concluded. So please stay tuned. We'll be back.
Hey, Ben.
Okay, the committee is reconvening following an executive session. The time is 7:44 p.m. As we noted prior to entering executive session, since the committee only has 3 seated members, 2 members are a quorum. Because the mayor is not present and there is no current deputy mayor, under Robert's Rules of Order, I would recommend to the committee a motion be made for a temporary presiding officer to preside over tonight's meeting.
Move.
Second.
Moving who?
I'd like
I
to,
will,
I'd like to move to have Committeeman Lucarelli as our presiding member this evening.
Second. Second.
All in favor is probably fine.
All in favor? Aye.
Okay.
All right. All right, so now, yeah, so I'd like to have a pledge of allegiance, if we can all stand. If we can all remain standing for a moment of silence for our fallen officers and men who have been wounded in battle. Thank you. Okay. So I would like to, first thing I'd like to do is make a resolution appointing Brian Foster to the vacancy caused by the resignation of Prakash Santana.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
And just for the record, committeemen, I know the action we just discussed, the ability to take it. If I could just recite a resolution that would outline the authority for that. Committeeman Lucarelli just read the title, and here would be the resolution. Whereas in January 2020, Prakash Santana was sworn into office as a member of the Township Committee for a 3-year term, pursuant to his candidacy as an independent candidate that was not the nominee of a political party. And whereas on September 16th, 2022, Prakash Santana resigned from the Township Committee, creating a vacancy in membership on the Township Committee. And whereas such vacancies are governed by the Municipal Vacancies Law, NJSA 40A:16-1 et sec. And whereas NJSA 40A:16-5 authorizes the Township Committee to fill a vacancy that occurs in the last year of the term for the remainder of the term. And whereas in the case of a candidate that was, quote, not the nominee of a political party, end quote, when elected, NJSA 40A:16-12 provides that the governing body may, quote, appoint a successor to fill the vacancy without regard to party, end quote, within 30 days of the subject vacancy. And whereas NJSA 40A:16-7 provides that, quote, an appointment to fill a vacancy in the membership of a governing body shall be by a majority vote of the remaining members of the governing body, end quote. And whereas Brian Foster is a resident and registered voter of the Township of Holmdel for at least 1 year prior to the date of adoption of this resolution, and is therefore eligible to serve on the Township Committee pursuant to New Jersey law, including but not limited to NJSA 40A:63-2A, and NJSA 40A:9-1.12 et sec. Now therefore be it resolved that the Township Committee of the Township of Holmdel hereby appoints Brian Foster to fill the vacancy in the Township Committee caused by the resignation of Prakash Santana, consistent with the foregoing.
Thank you, Counselor. I'd like to ask Brian to come up and be sworn in.
I, Brian Foster, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and to the governments established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of Holmdel Township Committeeman according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations.
Please have a seat. Thank you, Wendy, and congratulations, Brian, and welcome to the board. What's that? Yeah, okay.
We're gonna get your autograph to make it official.
So make a comment now about the reason, yeah. So I'm just gonna make a comment about why we did this. Sure. So, there's obviously a lot of moving parts to this meeting. I'm gonna do the best I can. But one of the things I wanted to mention is that there was, numerous reasons why we felt like it was the right thing to do tonight to appoint someone to Prakash's vacant seat. It was unprecedented to have only 3 members on the committee at this time, and then, then to have a governing body of 2 people, I don't think is what anyone wants. So this will help in the times of conflicts or scheduling. It's very important to have at least 4 people on this body. And I'd like to also, if our council can talk about some of the legality that has to go along with that also, I'd appreciate it.
Sure, Committeeman. As outlined in the resolution, the municipal vacancies law allows governing bodies to fill vacancies. It's a very common practice that you see in municipalities where the remaining members take a vote to appoint a new member. And in terms of the functioning, we did have an executive session, and a couple of the things we mentioned and, the committee asked for us to share down here are that there are certain action items that require 4 votes for the governing body to take the subject action. 2 common ones are bond ordinances, final adoption of bond ordinances, as well as budget transfers at the conclusion of a year. So if the committee did function with 3 members, it would be unable to take any of those actions for the remainder of this year. But now with 4 members, if all 4 vote affirmatively, you can still bond and you can still complete budget transfers and the like.
Thank you.
So I would like to introduce a resolution appointing Committeeman DJ Lucarelli as deputy mayor.
Sure.
Does anybody move for that?
I can't second. Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Wendy, we don't need a swearing in form, right? He's already good?
No, actually, we probably.
We usually do it reorg, so it's probably a fair idea.
Okay.
So we do that first and then move on to the consent.
Yep.
Oh, I have to do the actual thing.
Live television, folks.
And to the governments established
And to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly performs
all the duties
of Holmdel Township Deputy Mayor
of Holmdel Township Deputy Mayor
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God. Okay, now that we can get past all that, moving on to the consent agenda, I want to make a motion to table, let's let's see, item 222-251.
I will,
Do you do roll call, or do I do roll call?
well, I'll have to second it.
Okay. Can I get a second?
I will second it, Deputy Mayor, but I do want to make a quick statement and offer a thought around that. This body represents our entire community, and we are cognizant of that. We certainly have opinions as to symbols and what they mean to us and to others. And anybody that knows me knows I try to find whatever common ground I can. And so it's unfortunate that this item, the resolution to repaint the blue line, does not have our full body up here to discuss. And it's unfortunate that it's become so politicized and so divisive. So, I started thinking about a way to resolve, because, you vote no, then there's a lot of people really upset, and I think rightfully so. And you vote yes, and there's a lot of people really upset. So as I started thinking about that section of road on Crawford's Corner, we have the new firehouse there. And I kind of think of it with the police station and the firehouse and the EMS building. It's kind of first responders' way, if you will. And we're going to have a new and improved EMS building there. And we are thoughtful and vociferous supporters of all of our first responders here. So I'd like to propose something, and Bill, we'll have to discuss it. I think the logistics around it will have to be discussed, 'cause I'm not entirely sure how we would do it. But the proposal itself really simply is, the thin red line represents support for our firefighters. The thin white line represents support for our EMS. And the blue line, of course, represents support for our police. So my proposal, very simply, is to have a red, white, and blue line on that section of Crawford's Corner Road. Because I do believe this community is unified in our support for all of our first responders and all of the men and women that sacrifice themselves every day for our safety and for our support. It is my hope that this is, I don't anticipate this being a very controversial thing. It's my hope that the community can rally around such an endeavor and such an effort. I also like the symbolism, frankly, that section of the road is dedicated to General Tillelli, and having the red, white, and blue stripes across there, I think, is also appropriate on another level as well. So, I think it's a gesture that we should embrace and can embrace. And for that reason, we'll talk in later dates about how and if it can be executed. So I will second removing it from the agenda at this time.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving on. So now is it, do I open this for public comments on the consent agenda? Okay. So at this moment, I would like to, if there's anyone in the public who has comments on the consent agenda only, please come up to the microphone, state your name and your address, and is it 3 minutes? And you have 3 minutes. Yes, sir.
Jay Yanello, 18 Ladwood Drive. A question about Mr. Foster's placement, and is that considered consent agenda beginning? I figured it's not.
I mean,
Okay.
I'll give you discretion, Jay.
Thank you. And Mr. Foster, I'm not trying to bust chops, but I'm curious. But since you're up there, you're on. I stood at the Board of Ed meeting when you retired or resigned, saying you have to spend more time with your family and your job from the Board of Ed. And I respect that, and it was pretty passionate. And that was, I don't know, a year ago or less. I don't know exactly. So I think it's fair for you to explain to us in the town why you now, after that passion plea, can participate as an active, true, value-added member on the Township Committee.
So I didn't resign. I decided not to rerun. Going through COVID, I own a mortgage company in town, and if you know anything about the industry as far as going through COVID, we were incredibly swamped. And yes, I did lose a lot of family time there as well. I've been given to this town from the day I moved into it. I was approached by several people at that meeting, after that meeting, and then had about 20 different conversations with other current, past people that were involved on township level and even beyond. And in those conversations, and all that I've been through and done for the town, which I'll speak about later, I decided at that point, after I spoke to my wife, that I can continue to help the town and that it would be wise for me to move forward in this regard because I do have a passion for this town. We chose this town. Everything I've done is to hopefully make my kids understand they should be proud of where they live and do all that they can to help that town thrive. If you don't feel I'm entitled to have a change of heart after all those conversations, that's your opinion, Mr. Iannello.
I didn't say that. but
I
it's-
understand.
it's-
I'm
it's a
answering your question.
remarkable
Just please
turn.
let me finish it. I'll finish.
you
Then you
sort
can
of
speak.
you sort of
I
accused
didn't.
me of that.
I just said I believe I'm entitled after
Absolutely.
doing my due diligence. Again, if I could finish, please.
Sure.
So that's how it all unwound, Mr. Iannello.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public? Yes, sir.
Ron Principi, 62 Bethany Road. I'm just a little confused. I mean, I've seen a lot of things take place here tonight, including your appointment. I don't even know you. So, but I've been here for 30-plus years. But the bottom line is, it's not on the agenda. What's going on here? The appointment of a deputy mayor, an appointment of a new council person?
Yeah, this wasn't on the agenda.
Yeah, why?
Because we decided to do that tonight.
But shouldn't the town know what's going on beforehand? I mean,
Is
this is
this,
our
is this
town.
something that has to
We're
be
all
on
here.
an agenda? Okay, so we have no control over the agenda. Only the mayor controls the agenda. We cannot add or remove anything from an
Okay,
agenda.
but the mayor isn't here, and we went ahead and we did all this stuff.
Well,
So if the mayor's
yeah.
controlling the agenda, obviously he put it on there. He didn't put it on there, so this should have never took place.
Well, he didn't put it on there because he wouldn't want this to be on there. But unfortunately, we have the options to do this.
Wait. You're telling me you're doing things that the mayor don't want done? Is
Well,
that what
I
you
don't
just
know
said?
that. I don't know what the mayor wants. He's not here.
I'm very uncomfortable what just took place here. I'm
Well,
being
it
honest
was
with you. I'm
within
very
our right to
uncomfortable.
do, so we
It's
did
within
it
your
because of
right
the
to do?
vacancy, because of the vacancy that was created by the resignation of
Yeah, but
Prakash
you had a
Santana.
quorum of 2, and I understand you're telling me it's perfectly legal, but it's not, I don't think it's ethical, to be quite honest with you. A quorum of 2? Really?
We're operating on the advice of council.
Yeah,
And
we're open on
that's-
the vice of council. We don't make the
Listen,
laws.
I get the advice of council, but how about we do things ethically for the town?
Ethically, to us, is making sure we have a body that can vote on
How
any
about
and everything that
ethically
comes
to you
through.
would be accommodate the town, not accommodate what's going on here. There's nothing on the agenda. You appointed a new council person, which, again, I don't know you, I have nothing against you, okay? But you're telling me it's not on the agenda because the mayor didn't put it there. Mayor isn't here, and it looks like we got backdoor deals going on. I don't like it.
There's no backdoor deals. I mean, very simply, we're 5 equal members. There's 5 equal members to this body. The only differentiating factor really is that the mayor himself sets the agenda. When we sat down this evening with a quorum of 2, we went into executive session and made a determination that this body needs to be more robust to complete the duties of this town.
Okay, and that should have been done when the 3 years are here, when the 3 existing members are here. And again, I know it's legal what you guys are doing, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, you guys work for me. You work for us.
Yeah.
All right?
We know that
and
better than
doing what's
anyone.
going on here, I don't think anybody here is kind of like comfortable with what's taking place here.
Well, I apologize that it doesn't feel comfortable, but there's nothing wrong with it. There's no backroom deals. We're doing what we feel is best for the town.
Well, I got one other question. Why was that special meeting canceled last week before? Because I was on my way here and I got told it was canceled. I'd really like to know because I already know
Right.
the answer, but I'd like.
I don't
more
think you do,
assurance.
actually.
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
yeah.
No, I was out of town on
yeah,
business.
If
Yeah.
you would, why don't you speak for yourself and I'll speak for
Yeah.
myself.
No, I was out of
And
town on
just
business.
so you know, sir, your time is up, but we're going to extend this last comment, okay?
Oh, and Rocco, by the way, tell your father I said hello. I will. That's how far back we go. But go
I
ahead.
know. Well, so hold on. I graduated with Mike Principi.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And John Principi.
Yeah, well, Johnny was a
and
year
Mr.
ahead of me.
Principi.
Yeah, I know them all, buddy.
And Ron Principi.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Laurie Principi.
Yeah.
And we'll go on and on and on.
We go back
we
a
have
long
deep
ways.
roots in this town.
Yeah, we go back a long ways. So look, I had a work issue that I was dealing with all week, right? And that's really what happened. I was out of town from Wednesday until late Friday afternoon. And so Committeeman Lucarelli and I conferred, given the discussion that took place in our executive session and the situation that had arisen, we felt we needed more time to make a decision. We needed more time to talk with the mayor. And Committeeman Lucarelli reached out to the mayor a day prior to that Friday special meeting. And as it was conveyed to us, he was considering canceling and then decided not to. So he knew going full well into that day, into Friday morning, that neither I nor Committeeman Lucarelli were going to be there. And so the statements he made, or the implications that
There
were
was no
addressed.
statement made.
Okay.
I just,
That's what
as
happened.
you well know, I'm very well connected with the county.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's what happened. I mean, I think DJ sent an email the day before. You know, it's that's what happened, and I don't know any other. That's it. You know, there's no
Okay.
controversy there, other than, you know, I don't know why they sat and streamed and everything else when they knew we couldn't make it.
Okay?
So, yeah, everything that Rocco said is absolutely correct. And from my perspective, I did have communications with the mayor, with council. They were very clear that I was not prepared to vote on kind of what was the entire reason of having that meeting. And it was council's advice to cancel the meeting because it wasn't going to be necessary. That was agreed upon by the mayor and then was changed to not canceling the meeting. So it was a little bit of theater or a lot of theater, but he knew well and everyone knew that we were not going to be there. So why he had the meeting looks to me now because of what took place with Prakash Santana. He wanted to have I guess, his moment to make a statement. I'm guessing that's why he had the meeting, but other than
No,
a
the meeting
reason,
was canceled.
but they were here and spoke and had and made statements. So I'm guessing that's why he did not cancel the meeting, but only he can answer that.
Okay, and as far as the blue line goes, we're doing what now? We're gonna shelf it?
All right, that was really the last. I mean, you're like 5 minutes past your 3, so there might be other people that want to talk here. So if we can just respect everyone in the crowd, I'd appreciate it.
And just for the record, Deputy Mayor, the blue line is now off the consent agenda, so,
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Yes,
so that's another reminder. It was taken off the agenda, and this comment is specific to agenda items.
So that is no longer on the agenda, so there will be no comments about that.
Okay, Mary Ellen Principi, 62 Bethany Road. I agree with everything my husband just said, and I think you guys are playing games here, and it's just like a circus. It's a circus, and unfortunately, the lawyer here is now just given into your hands.
Mrs. Principi,
Oh,
just so, I mean, I want everyone to understand here, we did not create this situation. We're trying to react to it as best we
If you would've
can.
showed up last week, we wouldn't have this situation.
Why wouldn't we have had this situation?
Because we would have voted on a deputy mayor. Might not have been him. Might have been you.
I wasn't going to vote for me.
Well, maybe the other two would have.
I'm just
saying,
yeah, but
I don't
I'm
think-
not. I wouldn't be very comfortable with someone who was about to resign making those types of decisions, voting on those types of decisions either, ma'am. Just so you understand. So, you know, I actually am a little bit troubled by the fact that there was a resignation that was imminent with the types of votes that were going to be made that morning. Also, you know, in retrospect, I didn't know obviously that was going to
I
happen.
understand that, but everything should be tabled then until the three of you, well, now four of you are there.
Deputy Mayor, can I also just comment? In terms of the comment directed at me, my job is to call balls and strikes and to follow the law. And my job is to brief the Township Committee on what the law states and what their rights and their obligations are under the law. And as the committee members have stated, every action that's being tonight is consistent with the law. And to the prior comment by the gentleman about the agenda, the Township Committee is never, at a regularly scheduled meeting, restricted to the agenda that's put forth. The meeting is set back in January at reorganization. The committee takes a vote at that time to set the annual calendar. It's advertised in the newspaper, and the committee, in its discretion, could take any action at a specific Township Committee meeting. Now, obviously, the agenda is put out in advance, and the mayor, as noted, controls the agenda. But any committee member has the opportunity to put forward an action that they wish to take at any particular meeting. So I think that it's legally incorrect and also unfair to claim that there's some sort of an improper action by a committee member offering a resolution or a motion that happens, you know, on a regular basis at some of our past meetings.
I'll go 3 minutes again.
No, we have other people in the
I just wanna ask
crowd.
you one question.
No, please, sir.
wanna answer that.
Enough
I
time.
wanna
You've
answer
taken
that.
up too much time. I'm going to ask you to sit down. There's other
Just
people
wanna
in the
answer
crowd
one thing. I
that
didn't
have their
say-
hands up.
I didn't say it was illegal. All I said was it appears unethical. That's all I said.
And I don't opine on ethics,
good.
but
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Yes, Barbara, please come up.
Barbara Singer, 5 Deerfield Court. Yeah, with respect to like what's legally done procedure-wise, you know, if Mike is saying this is by the book, I mean, we have procedures to get items on the agenda. I just find this so hypocritical because with the referendum that went through this town recently, all we heard from you was how unethical it was the way that came about. It was done at this time of the summer, and that's all we heard from you. Everything there was done by the book, And it was still claimed that they were doing something underhanded behind the scenes, and now you throw this at us, and you're like, well, it's by the book.
What you guys?
Hold on, yeah, what would you recommend, Barbara? Like, what would you do if you were in our shoes?
I would have, I know, Rocco, you're saying, like, you're questioning somebody making decisions who's resigning. I would want that person making decisions because they have been here and they have the history with the town in recent years. And I think they would be a great person
So what, do
to
you want us to
vote
bring
on
them
these
back?
things,
Like-
to vote on. I think it's terrible we had Chief Alaco hanging around waiting on his appointment.
I think the mayor's
And
decision to do that
whoever-
was terrible. I agree with you.
You know,
I think the one thing, Barbara, too, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but I
Wait.
think the one thing I do want to point out also, whether the mayor's here or not, you know,
Nothing. We would have been.
I think we would have made a motion, you know, I mean, we would have wanted to go into closed session. We would have wanted to talk to him directly. You know, I certainly would have wanted to, you know, provide my opinion on things. So I'm not sure why there's a perception or a thought about, you know, things being unethical or underhanded here. Again, we were dealt a situation where 2 sitting committee people didn't even see through their first term. And then we had to react to that situation. The mayor called the meeting for tonight in our scheduled meeting, didn't show up. And so here we are. And so, and to say that we shouldn't introduce resolutions or other items would also be to say we shouldn't remove other items from the consent agenda, which I have a strange feeling you're against. So how are we supposed to preside, I guess would be my question otherwise.
look, in hindsight, Kathy's seat should have been filled within 30 days. That shouldn't, but, you know, I don't know why that didn't
We
happen.
can't talk about what happened back then. I mean,
No, but you are responsible for what's gone on here. This is all under your watch, so I think that
But
should have been
2
done.
sitting
Another thing
members
is-
resigned. We did
I
not
find
have.
it-
That's, you can't say that's under our watch. They
With
did that. We didn't want that, but it happened.
The lack of fulfilling, the leaving a vacancy for that long was under your watch. That seat should have been filled, in my opinion, so that you don't run into these quorum issues.
I think that's fair. And I'd appreciate you having that same discussion with the mayor.
Absolutely, to everyone. I don't pick and choose who I say that to up here when I
And
comment.
I do agree
'cause-
with that. It should have been, yes.
So, with respect to the meeting where you two did not appear, like, I went into work late that day because there was a meeting. I'm sure there's other people who missed work. I find it hard to believe that even though you haven't, however long you've been here, you couldn't get the message to our clerk or someone who could have alerted
All right,
the town
so
that you weren't
everyone-
going to be
yeah.
here for a meeting you
Yeah,
planned.
maybe Mike can respond, but
I'll take
we-
you a little
yeah,
behind the curtain,
yeah.
but just to make it clear, I work with the township clerk on any meeting scheduling. We do not cancel any meetings unless a majority of the township committee advises that they want the meeting canceled, and then in that case, the clerk will notice a cancellation. For that particular meeting, there was not a majority of members who requested a cancellation, and because a motion was made at the meeting that Tuesday to schedule that meeting, the clerk went ahead, followed that motion, noticed it to the newspapers in accordance with law. So neither the clerk nor I had a basis to cancel the meeting because there was not a majority of members who sought cancellation. So nothing was done improperly up
But
here.
we knew they wouldn't, if these 2 gentlemen gave advance notice that they weren't going to be there, then we knew we didn't have a quorum to hold the meeting.
So you should.
So why was that not announced to the public? Like,
So
it
you
seemed
need to
very
ask the mayor
last
that.
minute.
You need to ask the mayor that, Barbara.
It would-
He decided not
Well,
to cancel the meeting.
Mr. Collins just said
We-
they have authority to
Well,
do this.
our ordinances are a little archaic, but they also say that 2 individual committee members can call a meeting. So, you know, unfortunately, when we're dealing with divided government, I'll call it, it may make sense to amend our ordinances to address these situations and provide the clerk perhaps
Yeah.
with some delegated authority, but we operated under the confines that we can operate under.
Yeah, please look over those, Mr. Collins,
Yeah.
because in the 7 or so years I've been active here, we've seen time and again where our members just don't show up at the last minute because they don't want to vote on something. It's happened, DJ. I know you're shaking
no.
your head no, but I'm talking before
About
you
me,
even
yeah,
here.
no,
right?
you're
Before you
100%.
even
It
here.
has
We've
happened
seen it time
before.
and again. And while you don't want to be accused of doing that, you're now accusing Greg of doing that when he's not here. So it's like
We didn't accuse Greg of anything.
Yeah.
We
of
didn't.
not showing up tonight.
I didn't say
No,
anything
all we
about him
said
not
is
showing
that
up
I think
tonight.
that question needs to be directed to the mayor. That's all I'm saying. I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I can't answer why the meeting wasn't canceled. So I will I will give you my word that that ordinance that you were just mentioned about this, these scenarios not happening again to inconvenience the public, I give you my word that we will look at that and see if we can make an amendment to that ordinance.
Thank you. I'm sure that's my 3 minutes.
5 minutes ago. Is there anyone else from the public on consent agenda?
Tony Brescia, 8 Squire Court. I'm confused about something, actually 2 things. There's 4 of you are going to have to vote unanimously on certain topics between now and the end of the year. It doesn't look like you're going to be able to vote on anything unanimously the way this is going tonight.
Mrs. Brescia, I don't think we've had a divided vote all year up until, I mean,
I think you're going to start having them now.
maybe, I can't speak to the future, but listen, we have operated, look, knowing there are differences,
But
we have
listen,
worked,
that
we
was
have
a-
operated
that
in
was a
unison
comment.
in public.
That was a comment. Also, at your 9:13 meeting, there was a whole discussion going on about what time we were going to have the meeting. It was 8 o'clock, it was 8:30, it was 9 o'clock. You called, there was no court date, then you all agreed at 9 o'clock. I have it on tape, it's on video. You all agreed to a 9 o'clock meeting. How did that meeting not happen? I don't understand it. I really don't understand it.
No.
And couldn't you have zoomed in? I mean, everybody else used to zoom in on these meetings. They used to zoom in, they used to call in. I mean, I've been here 35 years.
Yeah, no, look, my original intent actually was to dial in by phone, but the situation at work that I was addressing became more urgent and more pressing, and I couldn't do it. And in
But
conversation
when
the
was
day
that-
prior,
So that meeting was being held, but you guys already had told Greg that you couldn't be
yes,
there?
the day before. The day before. My head,
And day of. No, I'm sorry.
No,
that
the
was
day
morning
of,
meeting.
it was
the day
Tuesday
before,
night,
yeah.
Tuesday night, you all agreed. Mike called, we found out there was no
Yes,
court
you're
on-
correct, but
Okay.
things changed
Okay.
as the week went on.
so
But
Thursday, he
how
knew
did you not know?
Thursday.
I got a text message telling me that there was a 9 o'clock meeting, okay? How come we didn't get a text message saying that nobody was gonna show up for the meeting, other than Greg and
I
Santana?
don't know who's texting you.
I get a text message telling me when there's a meeting. I
Yeah,
don't
no,
know.
the mayor was notified a day in advance, so
anyway.
I can't speak
Well,
to what the
listen, in
decisions he
March-
made.
In March, when I was here, I had to say, I alluded to the Music Man, and there was trouble in River City. And this time, I'm going to say, Some Like It Hot, because that's the new show on Broadway. And this is better than a show on Broadway. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to make comments on the consent agenda? Yes, Mr. Critelli, come forward.
Tom Critelli, 7 Hayward Hills Drive. And to Mrs. Brush's point, I don't know if it's better than a Broadway show, but I gave up watching Aaron Judge and the Yankees tonight because I came here to support the folks that decided to come to this meeting. And I just want to say, Brian, I watched you closely when you were a Board of Education elected official. We worked together when I was on the governing body as well. I think you are a welcome addition to the committee, and I wish you a lot of luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Would that be all the comments this evening on consent agenda items? All right, seeing none, I would like to make a motion to, make a motion on the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
A roll call, please, Wendy?
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Impreviduto?
Yes.
Mr. Lucarelli?
Yes.
The consent agenda as amended has been approved.
Okay, introduction of ordinances, 220, do I read this? Okay, go ahead, Wendy, I'm sorry.
If you want to, you can. Okay. Okay. Introduction of ordinance 2022-28, which is an ordinance authorizing the vacation of a portion of an easement across Block 50, Lot 54.15 on the tax maps of the of the Township of Holmdel. Motion is to adopt on first reading, publish in the Asbury Park Press, and set the public hearing for October 11th, 2022.
Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Roll call, please, Wendy?
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Impreviduto?
Yes.
Mr. Lucarelli?
Yes.
2022-28 will be set for public hearing.
Hearing on ordinances?
Next is hearing on ordinance 2022-25, which is an ordinance amending commercial business regulations to address collaborative working spaces.
So we will have a public hearing. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on ordinance 2022-25? Seeing none, can I get a motion?
Move.
Second.
Wendy?
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Impreviduto?
Yes.
Mr. Lucarelli?
Yes.
Ordinance 2022-25 will be published in the Asbury Park Press according to law. The next hearing is for ordinance 2022-26, which is an ordinance addressing the use, operation, and maintenance of grease traps.
Anyone from the public? Seeing none, can I have a motion?
Move.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Impreviduto?
Yes.
Mr. Lucarelli?
Yes.
2022-26 will be published in the Asbury Park Press according to law. The next is hearing on ordinance 2022-27, which is an ordinance addressing state mandates regarding certificates of insurance and related administrative fees pursuant to PL 2022 C.92.
Anyone from the public have any comments on on ordinance 2022-27? Seeing none, can I have a roll call? Can I have a motion? I'm sorry.
Move.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Impreviduto?
Yes.
Mr. Lucarelli?
Yes.
2022-27 will be published in the Asbury Park Press according to law. Thank you.
Okay, so departments, administrator, any updates?
I have a couple things. The Veterans of the Year nomination's now open. You can let Barbara and administration know if you know any veterans who would like to get that award. That'll be awarded in November at the Veterans Day ceremony. Next Veterans Roundtable will be October 7th at 9 o'clock. There'll be location at the New Jersey Vietnam Veterans Memorial and Vietnam Museum in Holmdel. The event will include a light breakfast followed by a presentation on various service offered to vets and also a private tour of the memorial. Some more stuff.
And your second hat?
I got other stuff here. Automated license plate reader. That project is moving forward. The Holmdel Township Police Department is finalizing locations and specifications with the vendor. Once the equipment is received and installed, testing will be scheduled. It's about 6 month delivery time from now. Also, there's a firehouse is going to have an open house. Fire department will be on Saturday, October 5th from 11 to 3 at the new fire station. There'll be tours of the building and tours of the fire truck, demonstrations and activities for kids. Attendees should park behind the post office parking lot.
Thank you very
much. One other thing that's also in the back are the
the
bags, the shopping bags. Help yourself to. There's 2 different designs. They're both designed by elementary students.
Thank you very much, Bill. We appreciate that. Professional reports, attorney?
Good evening, Deputy Mayor, members of the committee, and welcome to Committeeman Foster. I don't have any specific update this evening, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Ben, do you have anything for us this evening?
Just one quick thing. Thank you, Committeeman. Takalusa Drive, that project is using a NJDOT grant that the township received. The contractor has been working on it, finished concrete work, set up to mill and pave starting tomorrow. Should be done by the end of this week. And paving will not start until after 9 o'clock, so school buses can get through, and then detours will be set up. The police have approved detour plans, and they'll be on site to help direct traffic.
Thank you very much. Boards and committees, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to go backwards this evening. So I'm going to go first. Department of Recreation, just have a few updates there. The swim club completed a very successful season on September 5th. The family memberships were up again in 2022, and we had many positive comments. The Holmdel Hurricanes swim team completed their 4th consecutive undefeated season, and they captured the overall team championship, so congratulations to the Holmdel Hurricanes. Save the date. Friday, October 29th is our trick-or-treating at Bayonet Farm. That's from 5 to 8. Registration is required and opens at, the registration opens on Tuesday, October 4th. The children will enjoy safe trick-or-treating and have many activities. This is a very successful event that we've held over the years. Tuesday, October 25th is the senior Halloween luncheon. That's at 12 p.m. at the Senior Center. All residents 62 and over are invited to attend. We also have an exciting Bayonet Farm trail race on Sunday, October 30th at Bayonet Farm. At 8:15, there's the kids race. At 9 a.m. is the main race. And free shirts are guaranteed to the first 100 registrations. There'll be awards for the top 3 male and female finishers for the 2 different age groups. We also have a lot of fall programs underway. Please check out the recreation departments at Rec Desk page for more information. Recycling. We have a paper shredding event on November 19th at the Public Works Building. We're also doing the bicycle donation. That will be, the bicycles can be dropped off at Public Works starting on October 3rd, or at the next 2 large item drop-off events. And that's all I have this evening. I'm going to let Committeeman Impreviduto next.
Yep, so for community development, we celebrated the retirement of longtime planning board secretary Bonnie Impasamato. I was unable to make her send-off, but I heard it was, very well received and very well attended. We are grateful for her decades of service to the Township of Holmdel. Community development was able to complete the hiring and onboarding process for 3 new employees, 2 clerks, and 1 full-time electrical inspector. These hires all replace positions that were open due to attrition. The addition to the staff will enable us to more efficiently serve our residents. Sorry, guys, hold on. In regard to the grease trap ordinance, the new ordinance will give the Community Development Department the authority to inspect grease traps twice per year with the expectation that businesses clean their grease traps 4 times per year. It matters because these inspections will help present major backups of sewer pipes like the one we saw a few months ago on Laurel Ave. The collaborative workspace ordinance, just to elaborate a little bit on that, the new ordinance streamlines the inspection process for businesses that offer collaborative workspaces. Whereas community development would have previously been required to inspect each workspace separately each time the rental turned over, the department will now be able to offer 1 annual inspection for the entire business with fees based upon square footage. This ordinance makes the inspection process fairer for businesses and has the potential to save them money, and it saves us time and resources in community development. The other piece of business, if I may, is related to the Holmdel Heritage Committee. As you guys know, we passed standing that committee up, I guess it was 2 weeks ago now, with the expectation that we would create a more inclusive environment, allowing many other members of our community that maybe don't feel as if they have a voice or enough direct connectivity to this body to speak to us about the challenges they're facing, show us opportunities we can to help them, and even find other opportunities to help celebrate things that are meaningful to them. So with the passing of the Holmdel Heritage Committee, we did receive, I think, up to 3 resumes, applications to become the head of that committee. It is still my request, and I think it's a resolution, to have Cheng Lu become the head of the Holmdel Heritage Committee, and that we retain the resumes that were submitted by the other 2 folks to see if they want to become members of that committee. So with that, I guess, do I just ask for the resolution? Somebody moves, Mike? Is that? You can make that motion. All right, I'm going to make a motion to appoint Cheng Lu as the head of the Holmdel Heritage Committee.
And I will second that motion.
Mr. Foster?
Absolutely, yes.
Mr. Impreviduto?
Yes.
Mr. Lucarelli?
Yes.
Okay. Resolution has been successfully passed.
Thank you.
That is everything I have except one piece. As the new liaison to the Board of Education, I have reached out to the president of the Holmdel Board of Education. We are playing phone tag. I owe her a phone call. So that is where we are now.
Thank you, Committeeman. I'd like to give our newly appointed Committeeman, Brian Foster, an opportunity to say a few words.
Thank you, DJ. I don't have any committee reports, obviously. Good evening, everybody. I just want to say how excited I am to be part of the committee and moving Holmdel forward in a positive direction. I'm honestly looking very forward to the election in November 8th, when I can join this committee entirely with Kim LaMountain as well, and continue to move forward and do a lot of good things. My family's been in town for a little over 10 years. We chose Holmdel because of its open space, the park system, the character, the charm, and of course, the top-notch schools. Throughout my life, I've managed to volunteer with several different organizations. One I've been a part of for 14 years, Special Olympics of New Jersey. My dad taught me what it means to give back to underserved communities. And upon us moving here into town, I drove the ambulance for 7 years. We had 2 newborns through that time, but I drove on Monday nights with Chief Chris Gischetta, who taught me a ton of things. Great guy. I've been coaching down at HYA for the last 11 years. I served on the planning board for 5 years with a few members here in attendance as well. And then as Mr. Yanello mentioned, the Board of Education as well. I believe in giving back to the town. And like I mentioned earlier, I want my kids to understand they should be proud of where they live and to help that town thrive and move forward. I mean that sincerely. Everywhere I've gone in town and all these groups I've been a part of, I've done nothing but meet good people that really want to help us continue to move forward. I have that same thoughts, drive, and passion for this town, and I'm proud to be up here, and I promise to give it my all to help this town continue to be the great town it is that we all know and love. And I thank you all for the support.
Thank you, Committeeman. Before I open up for public comments, there was just one thing I noticed. There was the mayor's report was here, and there's one thing I wasn't going to read it, but there is one thing on here I think is important. Most of you probably know this, but on September 22nd, we had a devastating structural fire in town. The fire department responded to a fire on Barbera Drive, and the department also responded to the detached garage on Middle Road on the 26th. Both causes of those fires are still under investigation, but I did want to just stay from the Holmdel Township committee that our thoughts and prayers are with the family on Barbera Drive, and we hope that they get through this time in their life, and if they need anything, I'm sure that there's the communities around them helping them, and if there's anything that the township can do to help them, we're also there for you. So with that, I'll close, and then I will open this up for public comment. And Wendy, I know you have to say what you say.
In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, this is a public comment period for the public comment on any governmental issue of public concern. In accordance with Resolution 2022-17, public commenters are asked to raise their hand and wait to be recognized by the deputy mayor before coming forward and making public comments. Commenters are asked to state their full name and address before commenting. Public commenters are limited to one comment, not to exceed 3 minutes. Comments should be directed to the deputy mayor and township committee. If appropriate, the deputy mayor may direct and recognize a staff employee or professional to respond to comments either at this meeting or in writing after this meeting.
Thank you, Wendy. Is there anyone that would like to come up and make your comments? Yes, Mr. Santana.
Prakash Santana, 18 Barbera Drive. Congratulations, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Not under the circumstances that I wanted or asked for, but thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I'm here to ask for a formal investigation into the response to the fire that destroyed my neighbor's house last week. I want to share with you some details, and then I'll ask some questions, so please make a note of all my questions. The first call to the fire was made by my neighbor at 9:38 p.m. Looking at my security camera, the first fire truck, our Holmdel pumper, the new one, was operational at 9:53 p.m. When I spoke to the fire chief, he mentioned that the firehouse was fully staffed when the call came in. So my first question is, why did it take a full 15 minutes to respond to a fire that is 4.4 miles away from the firehouse? That's question number one. Our ladder truck was present at the scene. It was parked in front of the house. The ladder truck sat there idly for several minutes while the fire raged inside the property. When the ladder truck was engaged, it was aimed at the base of a tree in front of the house for several minutes. It also appeared that there was a problem with the water pressure. When they finally were able to get the ladder up, it took the fire company several minutes to maneuver the ladder between the trees. So here are my questions. Why was there a delay in engaging the ladder truck? Are we testing our fire apparatus routinely to ensure that they are available at a moment's notice? Given that we have too many tree-lined streets in Holmdel, are we training our fire crew to handle a ladder effectively and quickly in such conditions? Next topic. The fire started at the whole house generator area outside the firehouse, and the gas line kept feeding the fire. At one point, the fire was so high, the embers were going over our neighboring homes. The fire crew had to wait for New Jersey Natural Gas crew to appear on the scene to shut off the gas line. My question is, can our fire crews be trained to shut off a gas line in the event of a similar emergency when a fire fed by a gas line threatens to destroy many homes? I would like to request that you conduct a formal investigation with answers to each of my questions, and please provide us the answers at the next committee meeting. Thank you.
Former committeeman, can I just
Yeah.
one quick question for context, nothing more. When you were the liaison to public safety, or to your knowledge, were any of these items in place, the trainings, et cetera,
It was supposed to be in place.
Okay,
Correct.
okay.
Okay, thank you, Prakash, and we will definitely take all these comments into consideration and have them looked at. Anyone else? Yes, Barbara.
Barbara Singer, 5 Deerfield Road. I do know with that fire and the one on Middle Road, Holmdel was not the first there. Union Beach was the first one there, I believe, on the garage fire. So I definitely think there's some awareness that we still have things to resolve with our fire response time. As much work as we did do on this, you know, it's time to have another look, I guess, given what we have done, and see how we can make those improvements. Mr. Impreviduto, we often agree on things, and tonight was one. I, too, felt something more could be done beyond painting a blue line down the street. Red, white, and blue, or whatever. In general, I feel we could do even better than painting a line on a street. I feel like this is a great community of people with great ideas on honoring those we want to honor. And I kind of felt that this was a good opportunity to get community input and maybe what to do. Before you were mentioning the red, white, and blue, and I was just thinking about the blue. There was an article I read, and they were talking about blue light bulbs, and I'm like, why can't we do that, like, all over town, and have the houses, every house has a blue light bulb lit up for a week? It could be sell the light bulbs, it's a fundraiser, donate the money to the, you know, the PBA. Like, I don't know, like, if you want to do it yourselves or put some sort of a committee together and make it a community event, because especially now if you want to do all the first responders, this could be like, you know, a nice thing to do here.
Yep.
And then the lawyer in me read the, you know, the MUTCD manual.
I only went to a
Mr.
semester and a half of
Collins.
law school, so talk to the
Okay, so maybe
attorney over
you'll sit and read some of this as well. So, painting the street is apparently completely in defiance of the Federal Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, the MUTDC. To confirm what I was reading, I emailed the Federal Highway Administration. I got a response from the transportation specialist from the MUTCD team. The response was, to me, you are correct in that Section 3A states that the pattern of a longitudinal double line shall be two parallel lines separated by a discernible space. For this space between the two lines to be discernible, it must represent a lack of other markings. Accordingly, the pavement surface must be visible in the space between the lines in the same way it is visible outside the lines. On this basis alone, filling the gap in a double line, either partially or fully, does not comply with the provisions of the MUTCD. She also refers me to two other interpretive letters from August of 2013 and December 2016. So this is obviously something they've had to deal with, in the past with different towns wanting to do things, including like painting the crosswalks. Like, there's rules on that too. There's lots of rules. The problem, if we're in defiance of this code, is that it is the national standard. And in personal injury, if you don't abide by what the standard is in that field and there's an accident, we're now liable. So this would be subjecting us to not be in compliance with the national standard and, possible liability if there is an accident along the roadway there. So I hope, you take that into consideration. Thank you.
Hey, Barbara, thank you for that. And just really quickly, I put an idea out there, right? I would like to understand, because we had that line had been there about 6 years, to understand if there was a way forward. I kind of like my idea, but I'm certainly open to many others that we can do that. I think a more inclusive sort of celebration and support, symbolic support of our first responders on the whole, I think is a really appropriate thing to do, and I think the community would rally around it. So I think we're in agreement once in a while.
Yeah, once in a while we are. It's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just before I ask the next person who may have a comment, I have to apologize. I overlooked something that I wanted to say, and I think it's important on our consent agenda. We formally appointed Chief Alaco from acting chief. I didn't know you were here. I just saw you there, and it made me think. I said, "Oh my God, I didn't even say anything." So thank you for being here, Chief, and thank you for all that you do, and it's well deserved. And I just wanted to recognize you, and we look forward to the formal promotional ceremony, whenever that may be. I know it's coming up soon, but we look forward to that event. So thank you. Okay, and thank you. Appreciate that. Is there anyone else from the public that continue the comments? Yes, sir.
Need my name again?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Listen, I'm going to tell you straight up. I came here tonight because of the blue line.
We do need your name.
Ron Principi, 62 Bethany Road, Holmdel. I came here because of the blue line. Rocco, what were you doing September 11, 2003? I was working in cable news, actually. Okay. I was downtown Manhattan. I was dispatched by the New York City Transit Authority. This is to my heart right now. And the bottom line, I like your idea, don't get me wrong. But I don't need this, and I don't want this to get dropped by the wayside. All right, these people that represent us out there, that take care of us, that respond to us, they need to be acknowledged. So, next meeting, let's get something together. Let's do something that, represents that.
We are in 100% agreement.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes. Hi, Terrence. Please come up and state your name and address.
Good evening, Terrence Wall, La Quinta Court, Holmdel. I want to congratulate this body this evening for immediately changing the tone of the communication skills with the public, interacting with folks that agree, interacting with folks that disagree in a pleasant, professional manner. That's to the credit of everyone on the dais. It was a pleasant surprise to see a fine fellow appointed to the Township Committee tonight. I sat either there or there, but I think the chair was a little older at the time. So I want to wish you all the best. It's really important that everyone works together as a team. Speaking strictly for myself as a member of the Board of Education, but speaking for myself, I look forward to, just from the refreshing actions from the dais tonight and the way you're comporting yourself professionally, of having excellent relations between the Board of Education and the Township Committee on behalf of the public, and turning away from some of the negativity, some of the vitriol, some that was like for false allegations of racism from Mr. G in the back, which folks don't buy. They're not following gaslighting. They're not doing that. We're in a different spot. It's moving forward in a positive fashion, turning away from the negativity, and doing the things that matter to Holmdel residents. So thank you, congratulations to you, and thank you for the work that you're doing on behalf of all the folks in Holmdel Township. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terrence.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Yes, sir.
Jay Yanello, 18 Ladwood Drive. First of all, Bill, I want to thank Victor for getting those hanging branches on Middletown Road. It's a done deal. They were pretty bad. Also, but if you can follow up with the county about dead branches, so those were hanging, ready to impale people. There are dead, big, heavy branches that will come down, and we just don't want a tragedy.
Same road, Middletown?
Middletown Road, yeah. If you drive, and probably better to check it out before the leaves go on all of them, because you could see just no leaves on heavy branches. Another safety issue, and I experienced this with my daughter about 9 months ago, coming out of Palumbo's area, going at that intersection, Laurel and 35. I always check when the lights change, but my daughter distracted me and the light changed, and I went, and out of nowhere, someone was coming about 60 miles an hour down 35, and I screeched, and thank God, because we would have both been killed. Since then, I've seen it again and again, including tonight. So I would encourage this body, I don't know how we communicate with the state or town, to do an analysis of that traffic light, 35 and Laurel Avenue. That light has a very high go-through, whatever you want to call it. People going through that light at high speeds, someone's going to get killed there. On a more superficial front, on Middletown Road, I guess we're putting up fencing to prevent from the dog park people egressing or coming in and out. But now we have a bunch of orange barriers everywhere. It looks like a giant work zone on the turnpike. Do we need them there still, or when are we getting rid of them there? Because it's really unsightly.
Yeah, they're supposed to put a new entrance over there.
Okay, it's
for
not
the
just
dog
there,
park.
but like in another area, they built a nice fence, but they have them behind that too. I would just hope once it's safe and appropriate, we get rid of all these orange
Yeah,
barriers.
I
it
think
looks
it's
like the New
I
Jersey
think it's a work
Turnpike.
in progress there,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I know they're working on a fence over there too, so they do have barriers over there for that also.
But like in one area, they built the fence, but now they have the barriers behind the fence, which to me makes no sense. So just, you may want to check it out. Thank
All
you.
right.
Is there anyone else from the public who would like to make a comment this evening? Yes, sir.
Hi, Ken Jeef, number 8 Sage Street. As most of you know, I don't normally come here and make comments unless I have to, but since my name was used in vain, I just want to make sure, set the record clear. For the record, what statements that I made that someone have alluded to was that the use of the appointment to the Asian American Pacific Islander Commission as political fodder is untenable and tone deaf. I did not use word racism, and of course, I just want to make sure that the record is set straight, because as some of you know, there have been false allegations, misstatements, and so on. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to make a statement this evening? Seeing none, I will make a motion. Can I get a motion to close the meeting?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you at the next scheduled meeting.